This review was made possible by ServPro of Frankfurt. If you have any cleanup needs, this is the team to talk to.
What's up, guys? My name is Zach, and today I am driving a 2013 Honda Crosstour. Up front is a 3.5 liter V6, and down below is a 6-speed automatic transmission. Now, I am super excited to be driving this here Crosstour for a bunch of reasons, but mainly the fact that these are really rare. They only made about 62,000 of them over 5 model years, and that's including Canada as well. But also, it's just a funky, interesting car, and you guys know that I love those. But before we get on to anything else, I have a website, zackpradel.com, where you can buy stickers and other merchandise when it becomes available. You could also submit your own vehicle to be reviewed by me through a quick and easy submission form, and you get a video of your car just like this one. And you could read my behind the scenes blog to see what I'm filming before it comes out on the channel. But let's get back to that 3.5 liter V6 under the hood. Well, it's a J series engine, and Honda has used this in their vehicles for a very long time. Makes about 278 horsepower, and there was also a 4-cylinder option available, the K24 2.4 liter, if that's something that you would want. However, it has extremely respectable power. It makes good horsepower. It has that V6 torquiness, which I really like. It's not going to blow the doors off a Lamborghini at drag week, but it is a very good driving experience. Like I said, paired to it is an automatic transmission. These only ever came automatic. And the earlier years came with 5 speeds, but the later years came with 6 speeds. So this is the 6-speed, which is very nice. And it's not a CVT, so I am very happy. Last but not least, this particular Crosstour is all-wheel drive. However, you could still find them in front-wheel drive if that's something you would like to seek out. Now, how does the Crosstour actually drive? Is it more car or is it more SUV? And I have to say, honestly, happily, it's more car. It feels more like the Accord than the CR-V. You don't feel nearly as top-heavy driving it. Now, does it drive like an absolute go-kart? Not quite, but you do get that torquey V6, very nice. And you get all the driving dynamics of a car, but the storage space of an SUV, of which we'll talk about a little bit later on. So for me, the driving feel gets 2 thumbs up for what it is. Very nice, Honda, very nice. But with that out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have 4 very classic Honda gauges. On the left is my coolant temperature and tachometer, and on the right is my speedometer and fuel. Very nice here for the Crosstour. Moving on to the steering wheel, on the left I have my source, volume, skip track, things like that, as well as my pages, we'll talk about with the center screen in a second, as well as my phone options to the bottom left, and off to the right I have my cruise control options. I also do get paddle shifters around the back of the steering wheel. Kind of a nice option for the Crosstour. This is also one of the coolest features of modern Hondas. If we come over here to the infotainment system and push that button, it actually gives you a blind spot camera. I don't know why more automakers don't do this, but it's a fantastic safety feature, and I'm glad that Honda does. Off to the far left, I do have my LDW button as well as traction control, and moving on to the door, I have my 2 different memory seat options, my power mirrors, power locks, and power windows. Moving into the center, I do have the infotainment screen. This is very classic Honda of this era. However, something that I do want to note is that this does get a backup camera. Now, the Crosstour ended in 2015, 3 years before the government legally required all cars to have backup cameras. So this was a very nice option and feature for the era. Down below that, I have 2 climate control vents and the hazard switch, and then I get my climate controls and radio screen. So this is all kind of compacted into one area. I do get dual zone climate, as well as I do get my infotainment options down here. That is really cool. And it's kind of fun to have a little secondary screen. Then moving on to the bottom portion of the center stack, I do have a big openable cubby and a always open cubby, an openable cigarette lighter and tray, And then I have my heated seat options, very, very nice, and the shifter itself. The shifter's been seen in a couple other Honda products from this era, so I'm pretty used to it at this point, and it does the job fine. Off to the left of that, we do have the parking brake. Then we have cup holders, so we will do a big friggin' bottle test, and ladies and gentlemen, this is why we continue to do the big friggin' bottle test. I know we haven't had a whole lot of passes in recent videos. However, this is why we do it, because every once in a while there is one that passes, and the Crosstour absolutely does. So awesome to see that. Honda has had a great track record with their cup holders, and the Crosstour is no exception. Then we do get a center console, and the seats. The seats are this really nice leather. This is in more upper trim Crosstour, which I really, really like. They are comfortable, they are powered, they are memory, and they are heated, which is pretty much everything you can ask for from a seat like this in a vehicle like this. And I'm happy to see that. However, speaking of seats, we do have back seats. So let's go do a back seat review. All right, so we're in the back of the 2013 Honda Crosstour, and a couple of things to note. First of all, the seats do sit up pretty high. That is noticeably different than a same year Honda Accord. Knee room is pretty good. My knees are coming close to touching the seat, but not quite. I am 5'11" and not a small guy, so I actually fit back here pretty comfortably. You do start to notice, however, the roof line starts to slope a little bit, but not the end of the world, obviously. I do get a center console back here with two cup holders, two vents back here, which is very, very nice. I did not understand the importance of having vents in the back until I had 5 people in my Mazda 3 that doesn't have vents in the back. I was freezing up front. People in the back were roasting like pigs. It wasn't a good experience. So having these rear vents back here, big, big game changer for vehicles like this. Other than that, nothing too crazy back here. Like I said, the sloping roof line does kind of impede on me a little bit, but not the end of the world. Let's go hop around the very back. We'll talk about the trunk, and then we'll talk about the looks. All right, so around the back of the Crosstour, little handle down here, and just pull it up. And then you do get this awesome, awesome trunk space, way more than you would get in an Accord, which is fantastic. I also have these levers right here to put down the second row of seats, so you don't have to climb all the way in and hit those buttons. You can see one right there and one right there. You don't have to reach all the way in. You could just hit it here, and then it goes down just like that to make it easy, easy, easy to load things in the back. Once those are flat, you do have these sort of hips you have to worry about. The speaker in this one, but those are for the strut towers for the wheels. But besides that, you get this nice long loading floor, which is fantastic. I also have this little thing down here for the jack and tire iron, things like that. And I have little cubbies off to the sides here. So you see these little pull straps. You can pull that and then store your little umbrella down there, which is really, really cool. And I also do get tie-down hooks, which is really, really utilitarian. I love that. I love that about the Crosstour. It's very, very useful and much more useful than an Accord. Now we got to talk about the looks. And first of all, this vehicle is used by ServPro as one of their client vehicles. So that is why it is painted in this bright, bright chroma key green. If you see in the door jambs, I'll show in a little bit here. The original color was like a darker blue, which I actually quite like as well. But when you want to stand out to clients, you got to paint it the ServPro color, which is fantastic. But overall, the look of the Crosstour is very, very interesting. This is actually built off the Honda Accord platform. So when designing it, Honda basically took an Accord, put bigger suspension on it, put a bigger back on it, and called it a day. And so you definitely see elements of that in the design. I think it's a really, really interesting car to look at. And of course, like I said, with such low production numbers, it's cool just to see one at all, which is fantastic. But now let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think finally driving a Honda Crosstour? Well, the Crosstour to me is a very, very interesting vehicle. From 2010 to 2012, it was actually called the Honda Accord Crosstour, and then they dropped the Accord name for the 2013 model year. And so it was just the Crosstour from then on out to where it met its demise in 2015. They didn't sell well. Not many people bought these cars. Like I said, 62,000 were made, but they were still selling them well into 2017 because people just weren't buying them. And I think there's a couple reasons for that. First of all, Honda already had the CR-V, which was a very massively popular SUV, and that kind of filled the SUV hole that most Honda buyers were looking for. If they wanted a Honda SUV, they went to the CR-V or the Pilot. not really the Crosstour. The other reason is that the late 2000s, when this car was designed, was a very interesting time for crossovers. The term crossover was coined back in the early 2000s. One of the first crossovers was the Chrysler Pacifica, because it's not quite a minivan, it's not quite an SUV, it's not quite a station wagon, it's crossing over all of them. And so that's where that term kind of came from. And so almost every company in the mid 2000s tried to create something. Honda, of course, created this, the Crosstour, but Toyota had the Venza, which similarly was based off of the Camry platform. And that didn't sell all that well either. Ford went out and made the Taurus X, or Taurus Cross, which shared the Taurus name and chassis, but was an SUV crossover. So everyone was trying to figure out what to do with this newfound name. And unfortunately, Honda threw things at the wall hoping it would stick, and, well, it didn't. The Crosstour didn't stick around, like I said, only lasting from 2010 to 2015, with their strongest year being 2010, and, well, diminishing after that. And so this car was canceled, and its space that it took up on the Ohio assembly line at Honda was then used by the CR-V, a massively more popular SUV, and later on the hole in the lineup was filled by the Honda Passport, something that they still make to this day and sells decently well. So that's why I call this car growing pains, because no one really knew what crossovers were going to do. No one was really sure if this was the way, and here in 2022, we know it is. That is the way that cars ended up going, but they weren't totally sure. You have to remember that even though this car came out in 2010, it was designed in the mid-2000s, because it takes a couple years to design a vehicle. So when you buy a Honda, there's a lot of certainty that goes into it. They're going to be reliable, they're going to be easy to maintain, they're going to be easy to find parts for, and they're going to generally be good cars. But this represents an era of Honda that wasn't certain. This car was shrouded in uncertainty, and that's why it didn't last all that long. But we probably have the Crosstour to thank for the Passport coming back, for the massive success of the CR-V, of the Pilot. Honda learned from their SUV crossover past and applied it to the future, of which they're still one of the most popular brands out there. And that to me is really, really cool. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Tim and Carol from ServPro. They have been absolutely awesome. Such a delight to work with. If you have any cleanup needs, please contact them with the information up on the screen. My basement flooded a couple years ago and we called ServPro, and they were absolutely awesome, in and out in a jiff. Their tagline, "Like it never happened," really, really does apply, and huge thank you to them for letting me take out their super rare Honda Crosstour. This has been absolutely awesome. Please give them a shout. Helping them is helping me, and it is greatly appreciated. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.